Welcome to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. AJ Gaynor with you. What a pleasure. Thank you for joining me here on the Talk America Radio Network. I hope you had, well, a phenomenal New Year's celebration. It is the new year. Happy New Year. But I hope, however you chose to spend your time bringing in 2018, that it was all that you hoped it could be. Mine was my new job. I play with a band. We played a show at a casino, northern Minnesota. Well, yeah, northern Minnesota. It was frigid. I think it got down to, well, it was 28 below, if I remember correctly, before the wind chill was factored in. That's an important differentiation of temperature here in the north during the wintertime, but what a blast. It was packed, had a great time, and hope to do it again next year. Hopefully at the same spot, and if it's not, hope to have that same kind of experience next year. Welcome to 2018. Hope you're ready. I think it's going to be a heck of a year. Very quickly, I was reminded of something that took place. In our news cycle these days, how quickly news is generated, how much is happening, all that is thrown at us, minute to minute, from our 24-hour news services and our social media. We forget a lot of things. I had forgotten, and I was reminded, listening to a greatest or best of show, that Lena Dunham, if you don't know who Lena Dunham is, she's shameless, disgusting person. Oh, hey, AJ, tell us how you really feel. I have zero respect for the woman. I wouldn't ever want to have to spend any time in the same room, same building with her as an individual. However, we learned during the Me Too movement that started with Harvey Weinstein, we learned that herself and another spoke to the Clinton campaign about Harvey Weinstein, warned against their sidling up and using Harvey Weinstein, which they did. He was hosted parties, he was part of the fundraising, and of course he gave and bundled money to the Clintons. And they were two peas in a pod, the Clintons and Weinstein. And there's so much to that story. And if you spent time on Twitter, social media, you've heard some of the things that are suspected. But the point is, one of the most liberal people that has any kind of profile in our pop culture, it is part of the liberal left and the Democrat movement in this country, went to the Hillary campaign, spoke with a person from the Hillary campaign, and warned them about what type of person Weinstein was, that he was a sexual assaulter, purported rapist, not a racist, but a rapist, and advised them to not associate so closely with him. There was another woman that did as well, and I cannot remember her name. It's beside the point. You get two warnings, twice. Your campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign, was warned that Harvey Weinstein was not a savory individual, that he was not someone to be aligned with. They ignored it. And in fact, if I remember correctly, I believe it was Robbie Mook was asked about this, and he denied that they were ever given any information. He never heard that information. Hillary never heard that information. She just didn't know. Just an innocent, poor woman that was just suffering from lack of knowledge. But it's important, I think, to bring points like that back up, because in this day and age, what we see coming from the left, the rhetoric that we've always seen coming from the left about their championing of the oppressed and the victims, and the voice they give to so many people who just aren't being heard or won't be heard by the awful, bigoted right in this country. These folks know exactly what they're doing, with whom they're doing it, what's going on at all times. They are perfectly aware of the hypocrisy that they embody. They're perfectly aware that everything that we on the right, and even on the middle right, and many down the middle, and the libertarians, they know what it is that we know. And they know that when we call them out for these things, that we know what we're talking about. And we'll talk about that hypocrisy on this show a little more. We're going to dive a little deeper. Story about Huma and Hillary later on. But a big story, I think, that was developing during the transition from 2017 to 2018 are the protests by the people of Iran against their theocratic Islamic government and the Ayatollahs, the tyranny, the fascism that they live under in that country. And people on the left and on the Democrat side, there have been a few of them who have spoken up and have said they support the protesters. Well, I don't think they used the word right. Maybe they did. Their right to voice their aspirations. I think that was a Barack Obama quote. To voice their aspirations, things they're aspiring to. That's what that means. So when they're protesting hijabs and protesting the burqa and they're protesting that tyrannical rule, they're just aspiring. Others believe that they're protesting for simple democracy. And that is what I wanted to get into. I've spent a couple of minutes on this. There is nothing that gets under my skin more than hearing people talk about America being a democracy. People talk about the value of democracy and how important it is for the democratic process to be present. As I say, there's very little that bothers me more. Democracy is nothing but mob rule. We hear this from the political players on both sides of the aisle, all across the landscape, but we hear it especially from the left and from the Dems when they're crying in support of one of their social issues, or they're responding to some kind of event in a foreign nation, such as the protests in Iran. We hear it from them as if, in and of itself, democracy is all that's needed, as if it will solve all of the problems. And that really, if I can borrow from Peter Griffin, that really grinds my gears. Democracy is nothing but mob rule. All by itself, it's just the majority oppressing, invariably, the minority. It's the majority gaining dominance over the minority. And that's every time. It's very simple. You get 10 people in a room, ask them to vote, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? Is it going to be pizza or chicken? If 6 people vote for pizza, then all 10 get pizza. Well, what if there's something wrong with that for some of the other 5? Let's say there's a celiac disease person and they can't eat flour or it causes them to get sick and have horrible abdominal pain and other issues gastronomically. Well, it was a Democratic vote, bro. 6 out of the 10 voted for pizza. So what happens then, to play this out further, if 1 or 2 of those 5 that voted no and wanted chicken have this abdominal pain and they don't go into the fetal position and go quiet and just accept what's been given them and suffer through it. If they keep up saying, no, I can't have pizza, it will make me sick. No, I don't want pizza, it's going to ruin the rest of my day. No, I don't have pizza. Well, what will the other 6 do? They'll get tired of it, and then they'll find a way to try to shut those 2 people up that have celiac disease. So democracy, just the act of a group of people voting on something, does not contain in and of itself some kind of freedom or liberty. Democracy all by itself, as I say, is mob's rule. But that's why Dems love it. Dems love mob rule. They're the type who want to shut you up. They're the type who want you to be quiet and accept what has been decided by the majority, which they will find ways to manipulate and put themselves in every time over the people who are dissenters. They'll not be the voice for the person with celiac disease amongst that 10. Well, because it was democracy, bro. 6 people voted for pizza. Yes, it's a very simple example, but it's what they mean. And that's what I hear when someone says, well, democracy in Venezuela, or, well, we need democracy in North Korea. No, we need democracy in Putin's Russia. Or, no, not all by itself. The democratic process of electing a representative, that has some value, but as we have learned, that doesn't guarantee anything either. Dems love democracy so much. And it's also why they love Europe so much, because those are all socialist democracies, where apparently the majority is voted to have more money taken away, have less rights, have no ability to defend themselves, to water down the rights to own property, and to basically give the power to the government. They trick people into voting to give the power to the government. It's what they do here. They trick people into voting to allow the government to take care of them, and to defend them, and to be their mommy and daddy. Democracy doesn't guarantee anything except a ruling class. Democracy isn't connected with freedom or liberty naturally. It's not inherently good or superior to simply have democracy. It's not superior to anything just because you practice democracy. It doesn't mean you're going to have fairness and equality and liberty and peace. It doesn't. Democracy is not a natural right that's been given to us by God or by nature or by the universe. The only way that democracy can have meaning, the only way that democracy can be effective here, where we do practice a democratic process to elect our representatives, is that because we have a constitution. It's because of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights that democracy works in this nation. Because what we do is we use that democratic process to elect a representative, which then goes to, whether it's the city, county, state house, or the federal level, and then they're tasked with representing the people in serving the Constitution, in protecting the Bill of Rights. It's because there is a document or documents that lays out the limits of the government, what those representatives that we duly elect are capable or allowed to do. Those of us who had good teachers in junior high and high school were sure to teach us that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is there to limit the power of the government over the people. It was in our Declaration of Independence, we the people. We hear those catchphrases all the time. Government for the people, by the people. Using a democratic process. We are a representative republic. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights protects us from the dangers of democracy. Unfortunately, the left, the Democrat Party, the progressive movement in this country over the decades has tricked and fooled and brainwashed millions of us into thinking that simple democracy is really all that we need. And then once we have simple democracy, the smartest amongst us, the elites, the most progressive, the experts will figure out how to make everything fair and equal and balanced and safe. And it's simply ridiculous. I don't have to sit here and talk about the tyrannical government of Iran and all of the things that are bad about the Dark Ages theocracy that they live under there. I don't have to talk about what Iran was like in 1974 or 76 or the early 70s or before the Ayatollahs took control. That was right around the time that I was born. That's not what's important. Not those facts. What is important is that Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, any sovereign nation on the face of this earth needs the verbatim, off of the Xerox copier version of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Otherwise, humanity will not live in freedom. Humanity will not enjoy liberty. Humanity will not have the opportunity to pursue its own happiness. The left has succeeded in demonizing our Bill of Rights, for the most part, demonizing our Constitution, because they uphold and uplift the victims as examples of unfairness and inequality, and examples of why what we're doing doesn't work. Those of us who have open eyes and think and recognize and have learned about the reality that we live in compared to the world before our Constitution and Bill of Rights recognize that we would not have this comfort, this luxury, this standard of living globally that we do. Even with the segments of the globe that do not enjoy it, we would not be at the level that we are at with medicine, with technology, with entertainment, with material science, science in general, our understanding of humanity, if it were not for capitalism. As a musician, I hear all of the time other musicians who are liberals, and they're unhappy with this and they're unhappy with that, and they can't stand capitalism and this and that and the other, and that socialism, this and that. Thank goodness capitalism existed to create the entertainment industry that we enjoy, the music business that we enjoy, the movie business that we enjoy, the technology business that we enjoy, the grocery stores that we can go to, the hospitals and the clinics that are available for us to use, whether we have insurance or not. Ladies and gentlemen, the value of democracy is nil. The only thing that gives it any weight or import in our own country is the Constitution and Bill of Rights that protects us from the mobs that will find a way to become the majority wherever they exist. Thank you for tuning in to Blowin Smoke. We'll be right back after this. Thank you for calling our sponsors and taking advantage of the folks that choose to advertise on the show so that we can keep doing it. Happy New Year. We'll be right back.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen, the Talk America Radio Network. To pick up where I left off, kudos to the people of Iran who are standing up to the dark ages theocracy that they have been under for decades. As longer than I have been alive, they have suffered. Women have suffered. Christians have suffered. Anyone who isn't a male Muslim has suffered. The world around them in the Middle East, the world overall, has suffered ever since the mullahs and the ayatollahs in Iran took over. And I cannot do anything but hope and pray in my own way that the people succeed in changing their reality, changing their government, removing from power the evil, evil men who run that country. We will live in a safer world if the government of Iran ceases to exist in its current form and becomes a representative republic with a constitution and Bill of Rights that mirrors our own. I can't tell you how frustrating it was to live through the Obama presidency and back in 2009 when this started then, and the silence and the lack of support from the administration that was in power and from Obama, and the frustration when the pallets of cash were delivered, and the frustration at the quote-unquote nuclear deal, the deal that gave Iran a path to nuclear weapons, the same Iran that shouts death to America and death to the West. I really, really hope that the people are able and strong enough and come together enough to change their reality and to change their future. They cannot change their past. They can change their future. Speaking of the ayatollahs and the mullahs and the terrorists that are funded by the ayatollahs and the mullahs, there's this story from the Gateway Pundit, and you may have seen it if you are a social media, not expert, but attendee. If you read it, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, if you pay attention to those things. This article, as I say, is from the Gateway Pundit. It's by Christina Layla. And the report is, here's the headline: Huma Abedin forwarded State Department passwords to Yahoo email account before it was hacked by foreign agents, including Russians. I'm going to read this story to you. Huma Abedin, who was Hillary's top aide, because Hillary used an unsecured server, and because they have absolutely zero concern for the safety of American citizens and the sovereignty of our nation, which is what those of us who understand what Hillary did and what the DNC did and what the Clinton Foundation did and who Hillary was and who Huma is, we understand this. But here's some more ammo for the next time you come up against the brain-dead liberals. Here's this article. As previously reported, the State Department released a portion of the documents found on pervert Anthony Weiner's laptop, Huma's husband, this past Friday, and at least 5 emails contain classified information. On a Yahoo email account, ladies and gentlemen, classified information. Comey said there was no willful negligence and that no prosecutor would take up that case. Here we're learning again that is not true. These people, no shame in these people. Back to the story. The FBI seized Weiner's laptop after he was caught sexting with an underage teenager and discovered classified information on the disgraced politician's computer. It turns out Hillary Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin, forwarded sensitive State Department emails to all of her unsecured, it should be, Yahoo email accounts, which were later hacked by foreign actors. Among the foreign agents that hacked Huma's Yahoo emails included the Russian intelligence services. This comes via, what's next in the article here comes via Luke Rosiak of the Daily Caller. Quote, Huma Abedin forwarded sensitive State Department emails, including passwords to government systems, to her personal Yahoo email account before every single Yahoo account was hacked. A Daily Caller News Foundation analysis of emails released as part of a lawsuit brought by Judicial Watch shows. The U.S. later charged Russian intelligence agent Igor Sushkin with hacking 500 million Yahoo email accounts. The initial hack occurred in 2014 and allowed this person's associates, Igor Sushkin, to access accounts into 2015 and into 2016 by using forged cookies. Shushin also worked for the Russian investment bank Renaissance Capital, which paid former President Bill Clinton $500,000 for a June 2010 speech in Moscow. Trump-Russia collusion? No, ladies and gentlemen. Clinton incompetence. A separate hack, back to the story, a separate hack in 2013 compromised $3 billion accounts across multiple Yahoo properties, and the culprit is still unclear. Quote, all Yahoo user accounts were affected by the August 2013 theft, the company said in a statement. Longtime Clinton confidant Sid Blumenthal sent Clinton an email in July 2009 with the subject line, important, not for circulation, you only, Sid. The email began, confidential, regarding Moscow summit, unquote. Abadan forwarded that email to her Yahoo address, potentially making it visible to hackers. Willful negligence? On with the story. According to the Daily Caller report, the 3 email accounts Abadan used, 3? Why do you need 3? Were the accounts, the addresses for the accounts are given here. We don't need to know Huma Abedin's email accounts. I'll skip this. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton had this to say about the new Huma Hillary doc dump from the State Department this past Friday. Quote from Tom Fitton, this is a major victory. After years of hard work in federal court, Judicial Watch has forced the State Department to finally allow Americans to see these public documents. It will be in keeping with our past experience that Abadan's emails on Weiner's laptop will include classified and other sensitive materials. That these government docs were on Anthony Weiner's laptop dramatically illustrates the need for the Justice Department to finally do a serious investigation of Hillary Clinton's and Huma Abedin's obvious violations of law. Obvious, Mr. Comey, obvious. The full report is available if you click on this article at the Gateway Pundit. That report is by Luke Rosiak. Back to the Christina Layla story for the Gateway Pundit. Hillary Clinton is directly responsible for this. She, along with everyone complicit, must be investigated and brought to justice. Americans are mad as hell that Hillary has gotten a free pass after committing one crime after another. Hillary has proven she cannot be trusted with classified information. In light of the Weiner laptop doc dump and other reports of her maid printing up classified info. Oh, that's right, her maid. That's misspelled. Her maid printed up classified info for her. To continue with the sentence, how is she, Hillary Clinton, still freely walking around? She also expects us to buy her lies that the DNC servers were hacked by Russians with Trump's help when the FBI hasn't even seen the servers. Crooked Hillary has put our national security at risk time and time again with her mishandling of classified information, pay-to-play, and Uranium One scandal. Enough is enough. Lock her and Huma up now, says Christina Layla at the Gateway Pundit. I could not agree more. How in the world can anyone who has any ounce of patriotism whatsoever, of concern for the safety of the American people, and actual, real, honest concern about foreign governments like Russia trying to get and trying to hack and trying to collect to themselves as much information as they can to then manipulate the people that we have elected to lead us? How can anyone that scans even the most basic description of what went on under Hillary Clinton's time at the State Department, the DNC, the Clinton Foundation, the Obama administration? Do you remember the story that I shared with you about the Obama administration killing Project Cassandra, that was in the process of investigating and following up and trying to sting Hezbollah and the money changing and exchanging and laundering, drug money, human trafficking that was going on between South America, the U.S., and the Middle East and Africa? These folks have no concern for the safety of any of us, not even the people of their own party. We understand that when terrorists attack, that they don't pick all of the time a certain political group to attack. Sometimes they may, but when someone walks into a nightclub and begins spraying bullets, they don't stop you and ask you whether or not you voted Democrat or Republican. They don't stop and ask you when you're at the country show in Vegas whether or not you voted Democrat or Republican, whether you're a liberal or someone on the right or an evangelical. They don't ask you that. When they drive a truck on a sidewalk, they're not stopping to ask you which political party you're affiliated with. These people, with all of their nonsensical rhetoric about championing the victims and the oppressed and trying to protect the people who can't protect themselves, we know it's a lie. We know exactly what we know and what we've talked about before and what I have said on the show before. These people want nothing but power for themselves. They want to centralize and bring the power to themselves, the money to themselves. And then, as if they're a Marie Antoinette, say things in the same vein of, let them eat cake. I've said on this show many times, The people who become victims of terrorist attacks, the people who become victims of human trafficking, the people who become victims of the drug usage of heroin and the trafficking and that whole narcotic world that became so strong and so prevalent under the Obama administration, we're all just the collateral damage. If you're the victim of a terrorist attack, if you're the victim of a drug crime, if you're a member of a family that has lost a loved one to narcotic overdose, if you're a victim or a family member of a victim who has disappeared and later found to be part of the human trafficking and sex slave trade, you're just collateral damage to Barack Obama and to Huma Abedin and to Hillary Clinton. It's just the new norm, says the mayor of London. This is absolutely insane. I will never ask someone to become a far-right, evangelical-leaning Christian Republican. I will not. What I will ask is that everyone who appreciates what we have here in this country, the luxury that we live in, the amazing quality of life that we enjoy, and the rights that we have to pursuit of our own happiness and self-defense and the ownership of property and privacy, all of the things that have made this country what it is and made this world what it is, can be, and is most of the time, you have to turn away from the Democrat Party. There is not a single individual, if they open their eyes and they understand the people they will stand alongside, who could choose to be and call themselves a Democrat, who could choose to call themselves a liberal or progressive. Those folks who do and are willing to do it are the ones who believe that it's cool to kill the baby in the womb, that the population of this country, not this country, the world, is too big and we need ways to stop humans from being born. They're the people who believe that Christianity is evil and that Islam is simply multiculturalism. These people have no concern for the folks that they stand shoulder to shoulder with. We're all just a nuisance. We're in their way. We make their accumulation of power and money inconvenient, and we need to be managed and husbanded like the population in a zoo. It's disgusting. Whether or not you like Trump, whether or not you call yourself a Republican or a conservative, the people with the D beside their name who stand shoulder to shoulder with people like Pelosi and Abedin and Clinton and Schumer and Obama, they are the enemy of freedom. They are the enemies of this nation, in the sense that they do not value what this nation represents and the freedoms and the liberties that are afforded to its citizens. It's as simple as that. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for coming back. We'll be right back after this. This is the Talk America Radio Network. Go nowhere.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-510-0338, 800-510-0338, 800-510-0338, 800-510-0338.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke. This is AJ. Thanks for staying tuned after the rant last segment. It's so true, though. The left, the Democrat Party in this country, has no concern for the citizens of this nation. No matter how eloquently or beautifully they might speak, they have no concern. We saw that during the 8 years of the Obama administration. We've seen it over the decades. We hear it when they call for pro-choice and the woman's right to choose whether or not the baby with a different DNA in their womb has the right to life. We hear that from them when they can't stop crying and whining about what we've done to the environment, which there's no proof of, except for faked computer models. We hear that when they damn the population of the world and cry loudly about how there are too many human beings, themselves not included. They're special. They're elite. They're smarter than the rest of us. We hear it from them when they defend Islam and jihad, when they defend it and say, well, no, they don't have enough jobs over there. We hear it from them when they remove nativity scenes and the Ten Commandments and under God, and they protest so loudly at the merest hint of some Christian teaching being present anywhere at any time, while defending Islam, defending jihad, while persecuting vocally and calling for whatever they call for against Israel. We learn who they are. They have no concern for their fellow humans. They disdain us. They absolutely do. Moving on, have you heard that there's this new theory now, this new explanation coming from the Democrat Party, coming from the folks that represent the left, the mainstream media that directs and controls what the Democratic Party does. We used to say that they carried the water for the Dems. We used to just say that they were biased. No, they control what happens. They're the ones who drive the agenda for the left and the Democrats in this country, and they've done it for a while, and we know that now. But the new line is, no, that guy Papadopoulos, yeah, he got drunk in Australia, or in London, I'm sorry, and he talked to a guy from Australia, and that's what started the investigation, because he was ranting and raving while he was drunk about opposition research and what the Russians had on blah, 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 and Hillary. So that's really what did it, right? Papa Drunkulus, can I call him that? That's what I'm going to call him. Papa Drunkulus, a drunk guy now, is being described as the basis for the Russian collusion investigation. Isn't that rich? Well, before we had this dossier, it's a dossier, man. Haven't you heard about the dossier, AJ? Well, no. No, it was a drunk guy in London talking to someone from Australia, a diplomat from Australia. Couldn't be the dossier that Clinton and Obama actually bought, that they spent their donor money to develop and procure. It couldn't be that dossier that John McCain shared with all the anti-Trumpers on the right and the GOP establishment. Couldn't be that, could it? No, it was a drunk guy in London is what it was. Couldn't have been the Never Trump movement. Nope, it's the drunkies' ravings. That's why we're spending the millions of dollars in the Mueller investigation. That's why we appointed a special counsel to illegitimately investigate something that A, never happened, and B, what isn't a crime. I tell you, it's another one of those things that makes my blood boil, and it's why I don't watch the news every day. I save it up. I scan, I skim, I catch the headlines, and then I decide what it is that is important for us to talk about and get some perspective on, and that's where I go. But again, we have a whole BS, illegal investigation. If you didn't know, folks, in order for there to be a special counsel appointment, there has to actually be a commission of a crime to investigate. Well, it's not a crime to do opposition research. In doing opposition research, crimes can be committed, but in and of itself, it's not illegal. If it was, then it was not legal to report that there were people accusing Roy Moore of groping them 35 years ago, or whatever it was. This is all BS. It's all nonsense. Again, another great example. If opposition research, if meddling in a foreign country's election is illegal, then lefties and Democrats tell me why it's okay that Obama sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to help try to get someone other than Netanyahu elected in Israel in their elections. I believe it was 2015. Obama broke the law then, didn't he? By bundling money and sending it to an opposition group trying to defeat Netanyahu or keep him from being elected. That's exactly the same thing of what they're saying Putin tried to do in this country. But what it illustrates so clearly for me is the disdain and the disrespect that the Democrats have for us, the American people. They believe that all that has to happen is some foreign actor like Putin, well, all he has to do is just give some info to a candidate or get some ads on Facebook, and we're all just stupid enough to believe it. We're all stupid enough to believe what was in the hacked emails that WikiLeaks shared. We're stupid enough to believe that there's actual conflict of interest between Hillary's State Department tenure and her husband's speech money and the pay to play and the pay for interviews and meetings while she was in the State Department. It's our fault. We're dumb. We're imbeciles, right? Again, we need to look no further than the entire Obama presidency, the Hillary Clinton State Department tenure, and the 2016 election to see plainly the hypocrisy of the left and the Democrats. Their disrespect, as I said, for you and me. Their derision for you and me. Remember, we're a basket of deplorables, and we're irredeemable. That's another important aspect of that statement. We are the population to be managed as if we were in a zoo, to be husbanded. There are too many of us, remember? We have to come up with humane ways of reducing the human population. Humane ways of keeping humans from being born. That to me sounds like a paradox. It sounds to me like you can't do that. If you value human life and you respect it, how in the world can you humanely keep it from occurring? Well, AJ, what about a condom? No. We're not talking about someone deciding when they're going to have children and trying to avoid getting pregnant because they don't want to yet. We're talking about governments and science and cultures and societies trying to decide how many people should populate the earth. You can't tell me that there's any humane way to do that. I can think of only 3 off the top of my head ways to reduce the human population. You remember the Black Plague? A third of the population of Europe wiped out. How about war? World War II. 100 million people in the span of 5, 6, 7 years, gone. How about a natural disaster on the scale that would kill millions? Well, if you believe in global warming and you believe that the population of the earth is too high and you want to reduce the population of the earth, that's how you would do it. War, disease, famine, catastrophe. No, AJ. We just want to keep people from reproducing. Oh, so you want to do what China does, which means that you enforce state-enforced abortion. Well, no. Well, what are you going to do then? If you don't believe in God, and you believe that we're animals that evolved from apes, and that when we have sex with one another, we produce a baby, what are you going to do? Well, what if more people were gay? Well, no. Hold up, because we have to, gay people adopt kids. They want to be parents too. Gay couples want to raise children as well. So you can't say that being asexual or omnisexual will have any effect here. You see how this gets all... there's this ability to really make this issue confusing, and it's really not. If you value human life, then if a human is alive, then you value them. There can't be too many. If you assign value to something, then that means it has value. This isn't economics. That's money. We're talking about human beings. So if you believe a human being has natural intrinsic value and that we should protect human life, if we should protect the homeless and we should protect the minorities and we should protect this group and that group, how can you start to decide who not to protect? How can you then characterize any aspect, any number, any group as undesirable or unneeded? It's hypocrisy. And that's what we see from the left and the Democrats forever. But I believe that the previous 8 years of Obama and the 2016 election and now the Trump derangement syndrome, it does nothing but clearly demonstrate that the left and the Democrats have a strong disrespect and a strong derision and anger and hatred towards their political opposition. Half the population of this country, the Dems and the Libs, think that it should either be locked up, re-educated, or just gotten rid of. Well, if you don't support gay marriage or abortion, if you don't think that Islam and Sharia law is compatible with the Constitution, well, then you should be locked up, right? If you don't believe in global warming, you should be locked up, right? Well, that's what they say. Should we not take them seriously? Iran says death to the West and to America. We shouldn't take them seriously? No. Give them nuclear weapons. Let's send them a pallet of cash. It's all good. Rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, if we lived in a liberal, quote-unquote, democracy, we would live in the equivalent of Venezuela. We would live in the equivalent of Iran. We would live in the equivalent of North Korea. Well, there's their democracies, right? I mean, they don't hold any... Well, maybe in North Korea they don't hold any elections, but it seems to me like I've heard that they do. And doesn't the Rocket Man get like 95% of the vote? Isn't that what happened in Venezuela? Didn't they hold elections there? Unbelievable. Those people must be so stupid, right? Well, no. Socialism rocks, AJ. They just don't have enough money. Of course, socialism rocks. It's absolutely stunning, the stupidity on display, the lack of education, the ignorance that is displayed openly by liberals and leftists and socialists supporting people like Bernie Sanders. Sure, they might give you the shirt off their back if you were cold. When it comes to politics and when it comes to society, if they find out that you don't think that the way that you do, you become expendable. You become collateral damage to their need to try to create and craft a utopia that will never exist, has never existed, and cannot be created. If you need more proof, just look at who the Dems and the left and the Trump derangement syndrome sufferers and the anti-Trumpers have defended recently. They've defended Kim Jong-un. The New York Times is defending the regime in Iran. Bernie Sanders and the other leftists and Democrats have defended the government in Venezuela. Now, it's cool to eat your hamsters down there. Well, those people are starving, AJ. Oh, I wonder why. Well, they voted 95% for Maduro, or whatever the heck his name is. Sounds like some kind of liquor company. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely shocking. The Dems and the left in this country do not have anyone but their own interests in mind. There's no sovereignty issues, there's no public safety issues, there's no national security issues, there's nothing but their agenda, their power, their money. And now we know it. It's undeniable. And the folks who continue to deny it and call themselves liberals and Democrats believe somehow that they'll be part of the victory and that they'll live on the spoils after they win. The same way that the people who stood up in Iran and demanded that the Ayatollahs and the mullahs be given power ended up living on the spoils of that victory. How did that work out? We'll be back after this. Stay tuned. We have a book to shove in your skull coming up. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, whew, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying tuned. This hour goes so quickly, but it is a lot of fun. It's nice to know you're there. And let me know if you're there. At AJ Blowin Smoke on Twitter. Follow some great people on there too. Stefan Molyneux, Jack Posobiec, Mike Cernovich, some of those folks. If you're new to Twitter and you're looking for some folks to follow, it's fun to go and follow someone and then see who they follow in that little blockchain. No, I'm kidding. That little tree gets built. It's a lot of fun. But speaking of tweets, another little segment here on the show. I forgot about it last week. I think it was because it was Christmas. But another fun segment on the show here is one tweet to trump them all. And I wanted to share with you this week's tweet that trumps them all. And in my opinion, obviously, Trump tweets a lot, but I try to choose my favorite and share with you. And my favorite this time was the first tweet of 2018, as it has been titled, and that was the one at Pakistan, announcing that we're going to be cutting off funding to Pakistan because they do not help us the way that they should in the fight against terror. The tweet follows, Donald J. Trump tweeting New Year's Day. The United States is foolishly correct, given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit. Thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan with little help. No more. Good on you, Mr. Trump. American money, the American taxpayers, for years we have wanted to not be funding the rest of the globe. I don't believe the population of Pakistan is represented very well by their government. I've stated this before. I don't believe the government of Mexico represents the citizens of Mexico very well. I don't believe that the people of Venezuela are represented by their government. And in many instances, same here in the U.S., especially with the establishment, the swamp, the deep state. I don't believe that we're represented very well. The difference being, here in the U.S. we have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We're supposed to represent ourselves. We're supposed to govern ourselves. That's something these other countries don't have. The point being, there's no need for us to subsidize the rest of the globe. It comes from that perceived and created feeling of guilt because we have things so much better. To me, that argument is flawed because I don't believe that we have things better because we're doing something nefarious. I believe we have it better because we have a better system of government, one that is limited, that gives us the rights, the people, that gives us the ability to pursue our dreams and pursue our happiness and take advantage of opportunities and cultivate our talents and become individuals, take responsibility, not depend on the government to build our lives and dictate our lives and manage our lives the way that other governments try to do to their populations, especially, well, not especially, but i.e. Venezuela, North Korea, Iran, socialist democracies, state socialist democracies, whatever you want to call it. And Trump understands this. That's why he decided to make America great again, that his campaign slogan. That, to me, is where that comes from. He understands what is fundamentally different about the way that we do things here in our country and why it has given us what it has given us. Not because of theft, not because of greed, because of intuitiveness, intuition, the desire to progress, the desire to evolve and to develop and to research and to understand and improve all aspects of life. People can choose to go be a dancer, to be a musician, to be an accountant, to be a lawyer, to be an astronaut, to be a soldier, to be a politician. In other countries, people don't have that ability. You have to have been born into the right family. You have to say the right things. You have to go through very specific and narrow paths. And usually those are reserved for people that are friends of the people already in power. This goes back to the whole idea, as I brought up at the beginning of the show, of democracy and how that is championed and trumpeted as if it is some kind of inherently good thing. Well, it isn't. And we spoke earlier about that, and you understand why now, as you probably did before. One more thing I wanted to touch on, not a very good segue here, I apologize, but I wanted to touch on this story with Logan Paul. I did not watch the video that he shared from the suicide forest in Japan. There's no need. I know that forest exists. I've seen stories on it before. I understand what happens there. To see a video from it will not change my opinion. This is another one of those situations where I suspect that I will be sharing an opinion with you that many people will differ with. I have a lot of the libertarian leanings. In my opinion, a person should be able to choose how they live their lives or not. It doesn't mean I have to like it. It doesn't mean I support suicide. It doesn't mean I support drug use. It doesn't mean I support anything. All I support is the ability for a person to give it their go, to put their foot in front of the other foot and start walking, to leave the nest and do whatever it is they do, whether it's right, wrong, good, or bad for themselves or not. Obviously, I understand where the lines are drawn. That's why I love the Constitution and the Bill of Rights like I do. That's why I understand that we do need a rule of law, that we have to set boundaries. I believe, though, that we have let those boundaries encroach so much that we have lost a lot of that idea of self-determination, responsibility, taking on the responsibility ourselves to decide, facing the consequences when we do make a bad decision. And so I want to battle against suicide as well. I want no one ever to think of it or to follow through with that. I want no one to ever think of following through with injecting heroin. I don't want people to ever be choosing to become hooked on prescription drugs or narcotics of any kind. But what I will never support is militarizing, arming, and putting badges and guns on the other side of that issue, and gavels. Something that I stressed a lot at the beginning of the life of the show is the badges and the gavels and the guns. That's where the danger lies. The police are there, sure, they're the first responders. There's this idea these days that they're supposed to protect us. Well, no. If you're in the military and they tell you to police your barracks, you're going to go clean it up. That means there's already been a mess. That means there's something that needs to be cleaned up. The police are there to clean up the messes, to fix what goes wrong. What we have to find a way to accept is that things are going to go wrong. It's why the Second Amendment is so important. It's why the First Amendment is so important. It's why all of the amendments are so important. It's why the Constitution is important. Because we cannot guarantee a utopian society where nothing ever goes wrong, where nobody ever makes a bad decision, where nobody's ever offended, where nothing untoward or challenging or nefarious or frustrating ever happens. It's not possible. In fact, it's not optimal. Without failure, we never learn. It's unfortunate that some of our failures can be so catastrophic and so grand sometimes, but without failure, we will never learn. There's no progress without doing something wrong, because then there'd be nothing to progress from. And so as far as this whole idea of persecuting him or whether he did the right thing or the wrong thing, it's all a moot point. If it's about us learning as much as we can before we're released on the rest of society and the world to be who we are, then we better damn well be ready to accept the consequences of the decisions we make and trying to figure out who we are and be what we want to be. It's as simple as that. It's absolutely as simple as that. And democracy does not accomplish that. Our representative republic, though, certainly can and did at one point. It's now time for a book to shove in your skull. I'm going to make a little noise here because this book that I'm covering today, I mentioned it last week, but I wanted to share it again. Isaac Asimov. It's a nonfiction, The Dangers of Intelligence and Other Science Essays. And it's a somewhat meaty book full of 1- and 2-page, sometimes 3-page long essays. And this was done in, I believe it was 76, if I remember correctly, right around the time I was born. But I mentioned that this is an opportunity, 86, wow, I was off. I was 11 when this came out. This is an opportunity to go back in time and look at what some of the people who were thinking ahead and thinking deeply about things, and sometimes not so deeply, that's the other joy of the book, about our future and the present that they lived in at the time. And there's some essays in here that are absolutely a blast to read. One of them, of course, he's titled The Dying Forests. And it talks about the danger to our forests and how if we're not careful in just a few years, they'll be gone. Well, here we are, 30 years later, 30 years plus later, and we still have forests, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we plant lots of trees every year. There's other, like this one, dial versus digital. And it's about whether or not digital clocks will take over for the dial-faced clocks. There's one in here about the disappearance of the mailman. It's called The Invisible Man. And it's about how maybe in the future there might be a system where instead of writing out our letters, we type them out, or we use a word processor, or we dictate them to some kind of computer device, and that they're electronically sent. And it would make the mailman and the mail service unnecessary. That's a blast to me, because we can see what they thought and what it ended up being in the actual reality. The Shrinking Microchip, another essay. Spell that word. That's one about actual dictation technology and software, where he covers how difficult it would be to have a machine learn how to dictate our speech, because there's so many challenges in the English language. To, and to, and endure, and insure, and all of these other confusing things like through, though, cough, rough, hiccup, and laugh, or low, and all the spellings, and how challenging it would be to create the software in a machine that could comprehend our English speech. Well, it is that difficult, but it's also been done. And we've seen the commercials on television for Dragon or whatever it's called, and the different speech-to-text technologies. Also, there's a lot of essays, or several essays here, on DNA. And at the time, it was something that was, as far as the science and the world studying it, probably they were making some pretty good progress, but the layman, the average citizen who's not part of those research and development firms, needed to be taught about it. A great mind, as Isaac Asimov, has written some amazing science fiction books, and of course he has written a ton of essays and some really interesting stuff, but I hope you'll check it out to see what the future looked like in 86 to the people that were thinking and the people that were writing, compared to what we've actually found took place here as we live in this amazing 21st century that is so fraught with the danger of liberalism, progressivism, and in this country, the Democrat Party. That does it for this week's Blowin Smoke with AJ Gaynor. Thank you for tuning into the Talk America Radio Network. We appreciate it so much. Hope your New Year's is a wonderful one. I hope if you decided to go with a resolution, it works for you. I myself am pretty happy with who I am. I just hope it's a good year financially and that it's safer for us overall. Until next time, stay warm, have a happy new year, and bye.